We are live. We are live. Our first THC Fan Rants. My name is Will Stewart, and I am here to rant. But it's been a few hours. And I'm still don't have all of my wits about me. But yeah, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. So whichever platform you prefer, we've got something for you. I can see all your comments here and all that stuff. We got Wayne Winter saying he's looking forward to the show. Thank you, Wayne, for jumping on. We also have Tottenham Teacher was on here earlier saying that he's stoked to jump on and do all that stuff. But I posted the link into the chat. I'll throw it again here in the YouTube because I'm guessing that's where most people are joining from. If you want to come on and have a rant with me, I will bring you on right after we roll the THFC Rant intro. All right, so what do we say about today? A lot of anger and pain and heat and all kinds of stuff going on. Yeah, do we blame Jose? Do we blame the players? Do we blame ENIC? Who is to blame? I mean, the roller coaster that is Tottenham Hotspur, right? I mean, first game of the season, we're losing 1-0 to Everton. And, after that, we go on a great run, top of the league for weeks on end, lose to Liverpool in a close match, and the wheels fall off. We lose 5 out of 6, and then we start to pull it back. It's starting to look good again, right? We've got 5 games in all competitions, and we're not just beating people. We're beating people 4-0, 4-1, all of this stuff, right? And, I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. We got AK Gaming here. First question of the show. What do I think the Spurs have to do now? I'm going to tell you right now, I think Spurs need to, we got to get rid of the fringe players. I mean, Hugo came out today and said it, right? He came out today and said that there are people on this team who just aren't doing enough. They're not united. They're not behind, the goals of the club. They're being more selfish than they are anything else. And we got to get rid of that. We got to get rid of that type of mentality. We got to get rid of that dead wood that's in the team, right? So if you guys look, whether you're watching on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, there's a link in the chat. If you want to come on and join me on the stream, just go ahead and click that and come on in. I will bring you on, and we can just rant about what's going on. Beer of the night, Heineken. This video is not sponsored by Heineken, but after today's performance, can anyone blame me? But yeah, I mean, we just gotta, I'm gonna tell you right now, the people who needs to go, who needs to stay. Look, I think we all, know who needs to go. Dyer is just not good enough. He's playing Dyer week in and week out. And we've got Winks, Mr. Harry Winks, who thinks he's going to go play for Atletico Madrid, who thinks that he's good enough to be on the English national team, starting week in, week out. We got Sissoko, who for one season, right? I mean, Sissoko is probably one of the most hated players at the club, you know, when he first joined Spurs. And it wasn't until that Champions League run season that, you know, people started to really get behind him, to say that he turned a new leaf, that he was coming around, that he was a player again. And now, because he's not doing the job that Højbjerg's doing, you know, he wants to complain. I don't know. Guys. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of people that we need to get rid of. Are we going to be able to get rid of some of them? Are we going to be able to get rid of any of them? Is the real question. And you know, I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, it's what, you know, 5 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning UK time. I mean, who knows? Just like with Poch, we could wake up in the morning and Jose is no longer the manager. I don't think you can sack Jose. I don't think it's Jose's fault. You know, I think that I don't understand how you can say that you're trying to play for the badge, and all you need is one goal in the last 30 minutes. Just one. All it takes is one goal, and we're through to the next round. And you can't do it. The composure. I love Harry Kane, greatest striker in the world, if Europe, you know, however you want to call it. But for him to just lose composure, and you could easily see the jitteriness that he had, you know, in the game and what he was doing, and to be able to not put that header in past the near post right there at the end, an open header. I mean, he was completely unmarked, had a clear shot at the goal, and I don't know what to say. I don't know how to explain this one. Right? Is Jose at fault? I think Jose might be at fault simply for the fact that he's being too nice, right? Maybe some of these fringe players that Hugo's talking about that need to be out of the club, that are not only dead wood but rotting wood, you know, in the ship, in trying to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. I just think is, you know, maybe he's being too nice to him, right? Maybe he's giving him too many chances, right? I don't know. What do you guys have to say? There's quite a few of you guys watching. You know, put your comments in the chat or come join me on the stream, and you're welcome to have your say. The link is in the chat. Just click on that and you should be able to join. If you can't join, let me know in the chat, and I'll try a different way to get the link out there to you guys, for you guys to join in. But yeah. So, AK Game, we've got a question here from 92 Flamethrower. Who could you see being the next manager? Personally, I think that Jose will finish the season because there isn't an exciting manager that is free currently. Yeah, you know, I agree. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Nagelsmann. I don't think that Nagelsmann is necessarily deserves or has done anything that is really what has Nagelsmann done that Poch didn't do? You know, that's the name that everybody's throwing around. You know, I really don't know. I mean, keep Jose till the end of the season, and then you never know, right? Like Klopp may leave Liverpool, right? Or, you know, I want a manager who has achieved something, but maybe is a little bit more young, maybe a little bit more pragmatic. You know, if we're going to get rid of the Jose thing, but I don't think Jose needs to go. I don't think it's a Jose problem. And yeah, I mean, he says, you know, that Jose's young, and then he plays attacking football, and that's about it. But I don't understand. I didn't think that we set up today. I did not think that we sat up today to play a low block. I didn't see that formation in any of the gameplay. What I saw was just a simple lack of intensity and people not fighting for the badge, right? and what this is a Europa League second leg. Yeah, it's one thing. You're 2-0 up. You're going into the first half. There's some cobwebs. People just aren't really running. But especially once they score that second goal, you would think that any elite athlete would immediately flip the switch and be on his game to go out and bring it home. And I think the next question is really not so much what manager should we get next, but are we going to be able to keep Kane and Son into 2022, 2021-2022 season? AK Gaming says, I think that we should give him one more chance, but listen to Jose who wants and get the dead players out. Absolutely, we got to get the dead players out. Absolutely, we got to get the dead players out. You know, I am famous across multiple different channels for being an anti-LaMelo person. And I mean, he showed it again today. That he runs hard. He runs fast. I'm not saying that he never puts in effort. He always puts in 100% effort. But that's not the problem. You can put in 100% effort into a lot of things. And if you're not a player, why are you there? I mean, he got pulled off because he got a yellow card inside the first 30 minutes, right? I mean, and not only that, but when he was on the ball, he wasn't doing anything to help engage the performance. And it's not on Lamela. They were all poor today. Reguilon gave the ball away too much today. Dele was poor today. Winks was horrible today. Lamela was poor today. Kane was poor today. I mean, to be honest with you, the only person that I could see out of watching that game who wasn't absolutely horrendous was Gareth Bale. Granted, he didn't do anything positive either, but I didn't see him giving the ball away pointlessly all over the pitch. And Dembele came on and gave the ball away. Lo Celso, even though it was his first day back, he came on and gave the ball away. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Hugo looked rather angry, and his comments to me basically said that there's no team. Yeah, cohesion. There's more to it than we will ever know. Cohesion. Yeah, But I mean, can you blame Hugo for doing that though? I mean, I don't. I think Hugo should have been coming out of his box. I blame Hugo too, because you're the captain. You're the captain. You should have been in the locker room at halftime, knocking people's teeth out, getting down their throat and saying, you don't deserve on the pitch, and turning to Jose, I'm not going back out there unless you put him on the bench. Right? That's if you know that somebody's intentionally causing problems, if you know that you have a teammate who's intentionally causing problems, call him out. Call him out. You're the captain. That's your job. That is your responsibility. And yeah, I don't know what to say. Got another comment here from 92 Flamethrower. The documentary showed me that the squad lacks ambition and a desire for silverware. Yeah, I mean, yeah. See, when I watched the documentary, my thought is that maybe it was just a lack of kind of that winner's mentality, of the confidence to say, we've got this. And I kind of, or maybe it was just being a little bit too nice. You know, there wasn't really even that cutting edge, that there wasn't the ability to just go out there and do what needed to be done in order to win week in and week out. But now you can't even say that. Year and a half under Jose Mourinho, and you got to have Hugo Lloris come out after the game, after we give up a 2-0 lead, and say, you know, these people just have to, you know, we have players on the team who just aren't behind the goal. What's behind the goal? Is your playing time more important than the team winning a game? Is your playing time more important than the club winning a trophy? Is your playing time, is your name recognition more important than the fans? Right? Because what is it that the fans want? What is it that we want? What is it that we're wanting? We want to be successful. We want to win games. We want to win trophies. But my aspirations don't end there, right? My aspirations, I want to win the league, right? I want to go out there and not only see armpit hair for the Caribou Cup or energy drink cup or whatever it is, right? That's great. But I mean, honestly, you've got the Audi Cup and you've got the Caribou Cup, right? Right? It's not even FA. It's not it's not even we're talking about the EFL Cup, right? And yeah, that's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. But to win this Europa League would have been absolutely, the next best thing to, for me, it's third place, right? Third place, it's the next thing below. You've got Europa League, Champions League, and the league, right? So, I mean, how are you going to go? How are you going to go out with a 2-0 advantage and give away 3 goals and not do anything about it? AK Gaming says that Mourinho looked like he was about to cry. Yeah, I'd be crying too. I'd be absolutely crying. And Wayne Winter says, I don't need the will. Someone had to. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? What are we going to say? What are we going to say? What are we going to say? I'm going to post that league in the chat again. If there's anybody out there who wants to jump on, who's joined in lately, go ahead and click that link and join me up here on the stream if you want to. If not, that's cool. I'll just sit here and rant, right? Because that's what this is about. Ranting for the good things, ranting for the bad things. But here's the problem. Even when I'm going to tell you right now. So for people that don't know about, I'm assuming that most of you guys are here or either from the U.S. or in a time zone where that's right, or something like that. But my son plays for the ECNL here in the United States. So you got MLS and then you got ECNL. So I guess you could say it'd be the equivalent to playing for a championship side, did a youth academy or something like that. And he plays on a team where, let's just say that it looks a lot like Tottenham right now. And even though he's a super creative player and tries to accomplish all the things that he wants to, this is a team sport, right? One person cannot win you matches. One person cannot win you trophies. One player cannot get you across the line. It's a team sport. He doesn't play in the USL, but he plays for a club, a USL academy-ish, right? And what we call the Elite Clubs National League. It's ECNL. It's like the second division of US youth soccer. So you have MLS next, and then you have ECNL as the second biggest. It's called Elite Clubs National League. And then, so all the USL sides are playing in the ECNL. Yep. So, yeah. That's what we do. But yeah, I mean, and so my son plays for a team like that. And he plays number 10. In Dad's opinion, he's top 1 or 2 on the team. And here's the key thing, right? So he plays in the number 10 spot. You got the forward who doesn't necessarily make runs. So he'll receive the ball with his back to goal. He'll make a sweet turn, and there's no options. Nobody's making a run. There's no options to play it around. He's already turned, right? And so now, in order to play back or play sideways, he has to turn again. And in that 2 or 3 seconds, especially at elite levels, you've got 2 or 3 guys on you, and you're giving the ball away. And it's the same thing that's happening here. You can't expect Reguilon. You can't expect Kane. You can't expect Gareth Bale to be able to pull rabbits out of the hat when their teammates aren't getting the ball to them and when they're not making it easy. And that's why that when you see the front line of Reguilon, Son, Kane, Bale, when he's on form, I still think that we have to get another winger. I think a right winger is just as important as the center backs. But when you have that, it creates so much work for the defense that you can start to they can start to make mistakes. You can start to pick them apart, and you can start attacking. Wayne Winter says, I'd love to rant with you, Will, but unfortunately, you don't want my COVID-rid body on your maiden stream. I hope the invite is still on when I'm getting it. Yeah, so this show is going to be, it's going to be this format the whole time. So the stream, even if the channel grows to be huge and do whatever, the link is going to be on. Obviously, at that point, we're going to have to be selective, but it's just going to be this thing where we just come on and we rant about whatever. We rant on good days, cheering, and we scream and we cry and we rant on bad days. And, it's really just, I'm just glad that this is my first stream and there's at least people here to talk to, whether it's chat or you come on the screen with me and you get all fired up. Either way, it's absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much for coming on and for subscribing to the channel. But yeah, I just figured that, so the main points for the channel, let's talk about the channel for a little bit, right? So here in the US, for us that are here in the US, or people who work nights, in Europe, or for people who can't sleep, like I'm a night owl, I usually stay up. It's easier for me to stay up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning than it is for me to, wake up at 9-8 o'clock in the morning to get on a live stream. And yeah, and we got got David, the Irish Hotspur, saying, big up, Will. Love the show, man. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. You're the one. David's the guy who kind of, I had the idea, because for me, between 5 o'clock and around, 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time, 5 o'clock Eastern time is usually about when all the streams over in the UK, over on David's side, their content starts to wind down. There might be the one-off here and there, especially David. He tends to do a lot more. The Irish Hotspur tends to do a lot more in the later in the evening his time than some of the other channels. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of content when I'm free, when the house is quiet, when I can really, do focus on talking or streaming or doing, all of those things. And I'm sure all of you guys here, yeah, every single one of you guys here is either a follower, you either subscribe to David or you've seen it. But if you're not, make sure, or if you're watching this in the future and you're watching back, make sure you go check out the Irish Hotspur. He's the man. He's the original. We love him. And we've got Tottenham Teacher here. We're going to bring him on the stream. Our first guest. What's going on, man? Are you muted? Yeah, you're muted. I'll unmute you for you. Oh, you're muted again. How about now? I still can't hear you, my man. Still can't hear you. For some reason. Let me double check to make sure, because it says you're not muted now. So let me make sure that I got the right headset on.
Test 1 2.
Let people know if you guys can you guys hear him and not me? Is it a me thing or is it a him thing?
How about now, Will?
All right, try to come back on, dude. We'll try to get you back on. Make sure you come back on. But I like the background. I like the mic. You probably just have like an audio input issue, or maybe you selected the wrong mic in your deal or whatever. You heard him, Flamethrower? I couldn't hear him for some reason. Yeah, I couldn't hear him at all. Tottenham Teacher, try to come back on, man. We'll try this again. Try to come back on. You thought you heard him from 1 second. AK Gaming says he'll be back in a minute. All right, dude. Even the close range passing was shocking. I couldn't believe how bad it was. I'm never going to sleep again. The nightmare of this will last until 2030. I'm gonna tell you what. But yeah, it is a David says he could hear him. What is going on with mine? Because I can hear all of my deals here, but I couldn't hear him at all. He's back on now. Let's bring him in. Let's see if this works. Are you there now?
Testing.
All right. I'm gonna switch my headphones out because it may be my issue. We're gonna switch these out and
No worries.
see if that makes it.
It might just be my connection, Will. I'm not sure,
No,
but if you guys can hear me.
I can hear you now. It's
no worries.
When I use the headphones that run out of my audio card, for whatever reason, like if I talk or you talk at the same time, it tends to drop my mic. So I try to use those other ones, but for whatever reason, it wasn't pulling it through, which is really weird. But no, man, I'm glad to have you here. I'm going to hand it over to you. First, tell us about who you are, where you work, and
all right,
and I mean where you're at. You know what you do, and then tell us about what you thought about today's performance.
Well, folks, I'm coming out of California, and you know, today's performance. What can we say? Horrible. Can't do the basic fundamentals. We can't do. We literally can't do anything. It felt like that whole first half lackluster, dude. Dinamo kicking it up in that second, and then that's when I logged off. That's when I actually had to start teaching the next period, and in extra time, my kids were like, "Hey, just so you know, your team shot the bed."
Yeah, I mean it's it's really hard too. Like I mean, I mean, it's a little bit easier on me because I'm on the East Coast, right? So I can put the game on in the background while I'm working and doing whatever. I work from home, so it's a little bit easier for me. But for us here in the U.S., it's hard to catch these games, especially the weekday games, especially the ones that are happening. I mean, for you, that was like what 10, 11 in the afternoon or in the morning?
In the morning, probably, usually 10, 11, 12. Sometimes it just kind of depends. But like teaching out of California here, man, it is a bit hard just being on the furthest coast, right? To, I mean, I guess Hawaii, but you know, you kind of get where I'm going there. And it's just to get Spurs content at a somewhat, you know, like a time where you're kind of winding down, or maybe you're in a night owl, as you were saying. It's going to be tremendous, Will. So I'm wishing you all the luck. I'm winding down right now. So
yeah, man, thank you. I mean, we got to have I'll drink to that. We got to have something here in the States that, you know, in this time where we actually can just sit back and relax and don't have to, you know, because usually like if it's an early stream like that's really why like I've kind of focused on Maddie's channel with his watch alongs. It's because he does kind of the fan invite before the match a lot of the times, and so it's easier for me to get on before, you know, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when my kids start getting home from school or my wife gets home from work, and then the noise in the house goes up. That's why, like, if you've seen me before, a lot of my earlier when I would come on to shows, it'd be in the garage by the workout equipment, right? Because that's the only place in the house at that time of day. And we're just throwing some comments here because a lot of people are saying they could hear you. Yeah, I can hear you now too. So it must have been my thing. I'll try to get that worked out. It's never
no worries, guys, because I was Will, literally all the problems you said about audio, I literally had gone through and I was like, oh man, I messed up. I was so worried about framing out the picture, because I'm actually jerry rigging this. I live in a rural part in California, so IP services, y'all know how it is here in the States. Terrible, right? We're not getting taken care of. Our kids feel it, all that stuff. And me as a teacher, when I was doing distance learning, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just one of those things. So I'm like jerry rigging, just hearing you about your beginning when you were calling in on shows kind of by the workbench and things like that. I'm kind of feeling that for sure.
Yeah, I know. I mean, because when it's that time of the day, you can't, I can't come into my office in the evening, you know, when it's, the way my office works, even if I have the door closed or whatever, you can still hear noise in the house. And the way my office is, it's on a loft overlooking kind of like the second living room over the kitchen. And so all of that
Yeah.
noise, everybody's in the kitchen area, which is where the kids are doing the remote schooling and stuff like that, it just completely comes through.
Yeah.
This mic helps out a little bit. You guys may have heard my wife yelling at my son a little bit earlier, maybe not, but
You're
yeah,
good. I'm using a Coles 4104B because I'm super extra. I do a lot of commentating. More so, I do a lot of doing a lot of that color commentating when I'm at school. So
yeah,
here's more background on myself, folks. Is just before I started teaching, I was a radio station manager. So radio is fun, man. I love audio. I love audio in general. The audio stuff, perfect. Networking is my issue more than anything. So I do a lot of like recording PSAs for the East Coast. So different states out there. I don't even know where I'm at right now, but fun stuff. I just apparently have that ugly voice, you know, that ugly face, but beautiful voice. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, you look great, man. You look great. And yeah, my mom lives out this way. She lives up in a small town in I guess you could say Central California.
Same.
So.
Are you in? You said USL. I'm curious. What academy?
My son plays for Fusion, so they have a USL2 side.
Okay.
And in the state of North Carolina here, we have NCFC, which has a USL championship team, and the Charlotte Independence, which has a USL. And so we play in the same league as all of those teams. So the USL teams play in the ECNL out here. So out here, especially, you have ECNL pretty big in California too. I think you have the North Division, South Division.
Yeah, we have I'm familiar with Sac Republic, so Sac FC. And we're obviously feeling that failed bid right now, but we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, so I mean, they just have, so for youth sides, for their youth academies, that's the league that they play in. Even though they're USL teams, they play for I think actually the USL Youth Academy. They're starting what they're calling now the USL Academy. Now that the MLS, so since the DA system kind of went away, now they have the MLS Next, and then they have USL's coming out. They're calling the USL Academy, where they'll play each club that has a USL team, whether it be USL Championship, USL League One, or USL League Two. They'll have a youth academy team that is between U15 and U19, so it's kind of like the best of the club. And my son's only U14 now, but starting next year they're going to have that, and they'll play in their own little youth academy. Right now, the USL doesn't actually have its own youth league, so the youth teams play in the ECNL or other leagues that are local. Some of the bigger clubs might play for MLS Next, but they didn't even play this year. So MLS Next, I don't think starts until next year. But yeah, enough of that.
And it's rough, man. It's rough.
What do you have? I want you to read that question there and tell me what you think about that. He says, that's Tottenham says, enough is enough. Jose out. I've been Jose in since he came in, but that's it. I'm officially Jose out. What would you have to say to that, Tottenham?
Oh, man, that's Tottenham. Well, I get the sentiment, and especially us here. I feel like we're always going to have a small disconnect, US side from the Isles, or being closer just in general in Europe. But we all do love the club, right? And I think we share a lot of that same feeling. But at the same time, I'm split, at least personally, because I get where you're coming from, but 2020 was really 2019, affected by 2019. You know, Jose comes in, right? We're now in 2021. It just, I feel like he's going to have to fall on the sword, right? And it's unfortunate because I do feel like he could kind of take this squad going forward and actually give us, a starting 11 that would be formidable, at least a formidable foe in the Premier League. But at the same time, I see where if we're going to do a rebuild, why are you going to do a rebuild with Mourinho, right?
Yeah, but I think you could do a rebuild with Mourinho. I think you could do a rebuild with anybody. Because I just don't think it doesn't
No, yeah,
matter.
you can.
I just don't think it matters who the manager is. The core root is that half the team is rotten to the core, in my opinion. So
No, yeah. And you were talking a bit earlier, Will. I feel like because I know you were there for the Stelios stream there with David, and that really stuck with me. You know, like being able to scout players that are actually, you know, of the caliber that you want, or at the very least, what I can't praise Mourinho on is kind of sending out our youth to go out and play, you know, because you do got to build up that youth. There's going to be two thoughts, right? We're either going to build our youth, and I think in general you should be anyways, and we're going to have to start playing that big ball league type of money ball where maybe you're going to have to chase some players, but at the same time, I'm very comfortable being a balanced team. I want to be a balanced team the whole time.
yeah, I mean, the thing that frustrates me about that is that there were other clubs in Europe, other countries in Europe who were willing to take risks, right, with bringing in, you know, some top U.S. talent. So, you know, U.S. men national team prospects. Now, granted, I understand that England has the FA has different rules, and they're not allowed to bring kids under 18, you know, onto the into their academies. But you know, the thing that really gets me is that when they do turn 18, you got to be jumping on that, right? You got to be jumping on that because I mean, you got Alphonse Davies, and you've got, you know, Weston McKennie, and you've got, and I've been following these players for years. Gio Reyna,
like to actually see, yeah.
And it's like, how can you not go out and drop? We're talking like Dele Alli money, right? £5 million on a young kid. What do you got to lose, right? I mean, Cameron Carter-Vick
take the risk,
and he wasn't even a starter really for our U.S. men's national team, and he wasn't even he was English, really. I mean, he grew up in England his whole life. He just had a dad who was American, and that's how he got played for the U.S. men's national team. But there's a link right there.
But that just tells you, like, that should have told you a lot, though.
Yeah. And so we got Jay.
Like,
we got JJ.
He took us to the top of the league.
Yeah. Do you think that we can still win the Carabao Cup? What do you think about that?
Oh man, I don't know. I kind of feel I was listening to Maddie talk a bit and he was like, man, I just feel like we gotta pack it in. We know that Man City's gonna do us in and there's no chance, but I gotta believe, man. I gotta believe it's just been a hell of a year. And as a Spurs fan and in general, we live it's been long out here. Period. And I don't live out in California, so things are all over. But everywhere that I've been talking, all my friends across the states, they're like, dude, come on. Well, at least my Spurs friends.
All right, well, I'm gonna bring in Jason into the stream here.
Hey guys,
what's going on, Jason? My man.
First things first. I saw you on We Are Tottenham TV. I'm glad that you put this together for us US folks out here. Spurs fans, that we can go ahead and rant. Trust me. What a dismal performance. And let's be honest, it's been a pretty dismal performance most of the season, if we're gonna be honest. I mean,
yeah.
Today was just like I think like the pinnacle of terribleness that we've seen all season. I mean, we've seen it, and if you've been watching this team, we saw it happen with Poch. You know, the last year or even the Champions League year, we were definitely not doing enough to you know, we could see that something that we were going down. I think us making it cracks already. Final, yeah, with us making the Champions League final, it really did paper over the cracks. I mean, I think we would all agree that Pochettino's biggest mistake was probably starting Kane in that Champions League final. He just didn't have the legs. He wasn't ready for that game, and it carried over into the next season. I don't know if the players felt some kind of way about him starting Kane, but it was obvious that the players were not playing for him. Okay, especially you could see the likes of Dele Alli. Some of the players just weren't playing for him. But the fatal mistake I felt was the club firing Pochettino and bringing in Jose Mourinho. I mean, just anybody that's watched now, just to give you a little backstory, I was born in London. I was born in North London, in Tottenham. Okay, and I moved over to the States when I was a teenager. So I've always watched Spurs. I've always been a Spurs fan. And just, so I've been through those times in the 80s and 90s. And, we've always been that yo-yo club or a cup team or whatever. But for us to consistently make the top four, it made no sense for us to fire Pochettino. It really didn't. When you look at like 2.5 transfer windows, we didn't spend. We didn't want to spend any money. I mean, not to just talk about transfers, but let's look at Manchester United. We were in the running for Bruno Fernandes, but did he want to split that money for Bruno Fernandes? No.
And it was
it was like 5 million, right?
Yeah,
it was
like 5 or 10 million. I mean,
5 or 10 million to get Bruno Fernandes, and we didn't. It's the same thing with Jack Grealish. If we're being honest, it was like
for less than $15 million.
Yeah, that they didn't want to splash out to get these players, and then you see these players in these teams, especially Bruno Fernandes in Manchester United, and you're like, and every time I see Bruno Fernandes do well in Manchester United, I keep thinking to myself, what is it, 5 million? We couldn't spend £5 million. Put the extra. It was nobody else was going after Bruno Fernandes when we were going after him. Remember that nobody else was trying to sign him, really.
I mean, from what I had heard, it was pretty much like it was like done. It was like
it was done. It was just like we want an extra 5 or 7 million, and you can have him. And it was like, no, we're not going to do it. Same thing with Grealish. It was just. So if you didn't want to give Pochettino the tools to see if we could push, take this team over the edge, what I'm saying? We're going to just bring in Jose Mourinho. The money that we spent on Jose Mourinho, we could have used that money to go ahead and get a Bruno Fernandes or a Jack Grealish. What I'm saying? Everybody's known we needed the center back. We needed center backs. What I'm saying? We didn't nobody up to this day, and maybe one of these days the truth will come out why we ended up getting rid of Kieran Trippier. You know what I'm saying? How do you lose? Mm-hmm. You lose Kyle Walker 1 year, and then 2 years later, his replacement, who's actually playing, you get rid of him under some really auspicious circumstances that nobody wants to talk about. You know what I'm saying? And so you have Aurier, and then you bring in Doherty. We never really replaced. And then the whole Danny Rose debacle. Nobody wants to talk about that. There's something beyond Jose Mourinho that is at the core of this team that is really disgusting right now. And I think it's permeating throughout the locker room. And we're seeing it now, because how do you lose players like Dele Alli? You know what I'm saying? You're losing players like Dele Alli. Rose has been ostracized. We've got players all over. And you don't think that these players that have been at the club for years, and they look at this like, this is how you treat this player, and this is how you treat that player. Please, anybody explain to me why we got rid of Kieran Trippier.
I mean, I think he wanted to leave the club, right? I mean, that was part of it.
Not really. And it wasn't that he wanted to leave the club. It was one of those, we're going to move you on. That's what he was told, that we're just going to move him on. That's what he was told.
His last season, though, wasn't that great. Now, granted, nobody was that great.
Nobody was that great, but okay, Eric Dyer. Mourinho wanted Dyer. Now, watching Spurs for years, what made you think that Eric Dyer was the bee's knees with our team?
Dyer was going to win.
I mean, 17, 18, I didn't think Dyer was horrible playing in the defensive midfield role. I mean, he was playing in front of Yin and Toby. So, I mean, that's a little bit of a different, deal. But
it's been coming. And I think it's what's happened is that everything has come to a head. I don't know what success is for this team for the rest of the season.
So tell me, what would you, if you were the guy in charge, what would you do to fix it? Lay us out Jason's plan.
I don't know what this team. We all know that this team needs 2 center backs and probably a right back. And we never replaced Moussa Dembele. If we're gonna be on, like, you could literally pinpoint when this team started to go down. It was when we sold Moussa Dembele. Like, we just never, because he was seriously, like I mean, he wasn't, like, people want to look at numbers and say, well, he didn't score goals, but the fact of the matter is he was a midfield general who could hold on to the ball, who could pick a pass, you know what I'm saying, and would get back defensively and protect that back four. Okay. And once we got rid of him, it looked like there was something going on as well, where he had that presence in the locker room as well. You know what I'm saying? I guess Højbjerg is trying to replicate that, you know, but I don't think Højbjerg has the technical ability. Yeah, he doesn't have the technical ability like Moussa Dembele, and we've never replaced this. The team never replaced them. You know, there's just players that we've gotten rid of that we've never replaced. That may not at some, if you would look at a statistical sheet, you would say, meh. You know what I'm saying? It may not show up statistically, but there was something tangible about those players within the locker room that held the team together, and we just don't have it. I mean, I love Dele Alli, but he's not a midfield general. Let's just be honest. He's not a leader of men. You can. He's
a flair player. He's a flair player.
Yeah, he's a flair player. He's not a leader. Okay, it's obvious. He's not a leader. Who's our leader in the midfield?
I think with players like Dele Alli, they need a manager who allows them to, you know, have freedom to be themselves, right? To play their own game, to work their own game. And I think Poch kind of gave him that. And Jose Mourinho is definitely not that kind of manager, right? He expects you to play a specific way and do a specific task or duty. Some players are just free spirits, and some players can play in a system really, really well. Like, I think the reason why Lamela looks like a slightly different player this season is because he, he's one of those players that plays in a system really well, and when he's left to his own devices, tends to get himself in a bit of trouble, I think.
I mean, to rebuild the squad, it's, we don't want to say it, but to even have the funds to rebuild this squad, we would have to sell a player just like Liverpool did with Coutinho to generate those funds. So it's which one? There's only 2 players that's going to garner that kind of money to rebuild a squad, and it's either going to be Kane or Son. So which one are you gonna? Here's
the $1 million question. Which one do you think is,
which one is available? Which one? Okay, so in this climate, even if I don't think anybody's going to come. If you were to ask me, if I was a team that sat there with 150 million pounds or euros to spend on a striker, and your choices are Harry Kane and Erling Haaland, who would you take? And be honest, who would you take?
I would take Haaland.
Exactly. So I know Daniel Levy slaps 150 million. I know Daniel Levy slaps 150 million pound price tag on Harry Kane. But anybody in their right mind is going to sit there and say, well, if I'm going to spend 150 million, I'm going to go after the younger guy who doesn't have a history of fragile ankles. You know what I'm saying?
Fair play, though, is that there are quite a few teams out here right now that are really looking for a good, number 9, right? You've got Manchester United need a striker. Man City needs a striker. PSG is probably going to need a striker because I don't think Poch is going to put up with starts with a 9. What's his name? It's slipping my mind.
Icardi.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to put up his attitude for very long. Poch doesn't like those types of players, right? He likes people who are very unselfish, and he demands people to be a part of the team, not an individual superstar. I think
full effort.
Yeah, I think that you have Juventus is probably going to need a new striker. So, I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that.
The question is will they
pay that price tag?
Yeah.
Will they pay that price tag?
Will they pay that price tag? I do believe it'll be a domino effect. Like if Haaland goes somewhere, then of course Kane will be up in the pecking order. You know, of course you come in, but if you're but who's the more realistic person to sell and gain a lot of money? And you know that you could probably get multiple teams that will come after him that you could sell, which is Son. Son's the one that you're going to sell, in all honesty. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, if the stadium is packed with fans and we weren't under this COVID economic situation, yeah, you could slap 150 million on Kane and you'd get it easily. You know what I'm saying? But now everybody's in this situation where the finances ain't right. You can say, well, we're not going to do 150 million, but if you slap an $80 million price tag on Human Son, you know, then you're going to get some. You're going to get some, yeah. You're going to get some suitors. And then the question is what did they do? Now, we've already, with the history of the team, we've already shown we do not know what to do when we have all that money anyway. Okay, because we got a shit ton of money when we sold Gareth Bale the first time, and the only player that's still on the squad is Eric Lamela. You know, but let's go down the line of the list of the players that we did have. Roberto Soldado, who couldn't kick the side of a barn, hit the side of a barn with the ball. You know what I'm saying? Paulinho. Who else was there? There was just a shit ton of players that didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? We really didn't do anything. You know, they really screwed the pooch when it came to reinvesting that money. So how do you even trust that Daniel Levy and the board to even take that money from a player that we sell and put it in, you know, and invest it in players?
I don't.
You have no faith in it. It's easy for us. It's easiest for us as fans to say, "No, let's sell Kane, let's sell Son and do a rebuild." But let's be honest, none of us sitting here right now trust that board to do a proper rebuild.
No.
You know,
if we had a proper sporting director, if we had a proper system, I would have. I would be. I feel a little more at ease about it, right? I mean, because there are some strikers out there that you could get for cheap that could really. I mean, like Ivan Toney. I'm a huge fan of his. I think that he plays similar to Kane.
I heard Spurs were looking at Hoppy over there in Schalke.
I haven't heard much.
I read that. I read that there's some interest in him. You know, he's a young U.S. international. So you know, I saw that there was some interest in him. There was some inquiries about him, and Schalke's going down. So pretty much they might look to sell. They're getting relegated. They're going to get relegated this year.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't trust them to do anything because if we sell Saint or
that board, like
who else does Saint? Who else does Saint a lot? I forgot. There's one guy on a channel who says Saint a lot. If we sell Kane or Son, and if we were to get, you know, a huge chunk of money, it's going to end up being a deja vu of the Gareth Bale stuff. And we're going to get 5 or 6 players who are garbage and won't be here in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Immediate needs center back.
And that's what kind of angers you about the whole debacle, because one of my things is if you're not going to be investing in your youth and then also investing in your scouting position, like the people who are scouting for the club, in general, that also extends also to buying a player. You know what I mean? Like you need an actual scouting office that is going to get you some players that are of a quality and caliber that can play at the Prem.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly correct. I'm okay. We need a center back. You sell Son, and say you get 80 million for Son. Which center back are you signing? Because it seems like all the top teams need a center back. Some top team needs a center back besides Liverpool and Manchester City. And you know, I do believe that Manchester United believe that they need another center back. You know what I'm saying?
And we lost out on Diaz for less than 45 million pounds.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So when it comes when teams say this is the price and we have the money, Daniel Levy's like, nah, you want 45, 30. And they're like, no,
35. How about 40?
No. He doesn't even go to 40. They say 45, and Levy's like, "No, I'm gonna say 30." No, actually, Levy comes out and says, "I'll give you 28." Okay, I'll give you 28, and they're like, "Hell no!" You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're like 45, and he's like, "All right, I'll give you 31." No, 45. Okay, he doesn't even say 40. He's just like, 33, 33.5.
And
You know, and then
David's right here. David's right here. Like, it just feels, look, we don't buy the right players. We have players that have been on this squad since before Joe even came in, right? We've been complaining about the same 6 players, same 7. It kind of fluctuates, it depends on the day. But we have a bag of players that can't be on that pitch, man.
No, you can't. Winks, unfortunately, Winks has got to go. Sissoko's, well, he's too long in the tooth. Like, you can literally go down the list of players. Like, okay, so I told you Moussa Dembele was a player that we didn't replace. I'll give you another player that we didn't replace. What's his name? Victor Wanyama was another player. Okay, never replaced him. So we've had players, and as they've left the squad, there's been no replacement. Like, literally no replacement. Nobody, no one. And then the youth players that we have, we're not giving them a chance. We're not giving them a chance. Poch actually saw something in Oliver Skip. Let's be honest. Poch played Oliver Skip before he got the sack. He played Skip. Okay, Jose Mourinho was like, I'm gonna go ahead and move you on. Let's send you out on loan.
Yeah, I think it was because he had to. Because I think he kind of realized that Winks and Sissoko as a pairing just wasn't a good idea. And really look at the players who are playing now, who we're calling people that were in our first team that are pre-Mourinho. All of those people had a hard time even getting into the starting 11 under Pochettino. Davies rarely started under Pochettino. Dyer rarely started under Pochettino. Winks rarely started under Pochettino until Wanyama's knees went out and we sold Dembele, right? So, Sissoko rarely played under Pochettino. Lamella rarely started under Pochettino. Mora rarely even started under Pochettino. I mean, his first 6 months that he was at the club when we bought him in the winter transfer window, he hardly played at all, right?
He wasn't ready. I think one thing I noticed about what Poch's system was that because when you look at those players like the Moras, the Sissokos, a lot of them it takes them like a half a season to adapt. Because one thing that they all talked about was Poch's training was really brutal, was hard, but then again, that was because we were a pressing team. You know what I'm saying? One thing that the downfall for our team, especially under Poch, was that we stopped pressing. We weren't pressing anymore, and that's the downfall of this team, is that we don't press anymore. The players that we have, the profile of our players, our profile was never meant to be a sit back, soak up pressure type team. Just off the profile of the players, okay, we just weren't that type of team. And what we have now, we have players, or we have players that were trained one way. You get rid of that manager, then you have another manager that comes in that tells them to sit back, okay. And I personally feel like, as I've seen them progress through Mourinho, is that it looked like they wanted to play one way, then he slapped the handbrake on them. Okay. And because he slapped the handbrake on them so much, now that he's telling them to push forward and get out there and press, they don't know what to do. Everything changed with this team with that draw against West Ham. Everything changed because as soon as West Ham drew that game, the very next game, it was turning point. Handbrake. Yeah, the handbrake was on, and it was just, we didn't play that free flowing football anymore. We just didn't. And to say that you can just switch it on, you know what I'm saying? So now when we get into these big games, and I don't know what it is, when these big games come around, if he tells him to sit back, or him trying to tell him to push, it's just not working. I don't recognize my team. I don't know what that team is.
Yeah, so I think the Tottenham Teacher, he's got to bounce off for a little bit. So we'll let him to say his closing words, and then we'll go on out. So if you got any closing words, man?
Tottenham till I die, folks. It's, hey lads, let's hope for better results against Villa, and hopefully the season isn't is in complete trash, but we'll find out. Keep up the spirits, folks. Have a drink, wind down. But at the end of the day, come on, you Spurs. On them till I die.
Let's go. Thanks for coming on, dude. You're welcome anytime. Come back. We'll be on quite often, so always check us out.
I think there's 30 points up for grab for the rest of it. There's 10 games left. There's 30 points. I mean, we don't have all we got left is a Carabao Cup. There's no European football, so now they'll get a rest. You know, there's a break between games, and there's 30 points up for grab. All we can do now is push for the top 4. That's all
we have left. No.
That's all we have left.
We have nothing else. So that means we have to go, but that means somebody needs to go down there, you know, reach down into their drawers and grab the jewels that their mama gave them and pull something out from deep inside to go out there on Sunday and win, right?
I think it was rather telling what Hugo Lloris's press conference was. I mean, you can get what Mourinho was saying, but I thought it was very telling what Lloris was saying. I think coming from the captain, and he's saying that it was a disgraceful performance and pretty much saying that it was indicative of what's going on in the club. I think that it was rather telling. And I mean, those guys, if you're not going to play for the shirt, just let us know. I mean, if you're not going to play for the shirt, just go. I mean, it's embarrassing. This was embarrassing. Dinamo Zagreb, really? 2-0 up? 2-0 up off the first tie, and then you let a player score a hat trick. I mean, those goals were just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. There was no passion, and it goes back to Sunday's game against Arsenal.
And what I didn't even see today, and it was the same thing that I saw at Arsenal, and maybe it is a Højbjerg issue. I don't know, but nobody wanted to put pressure onto the ball in our own defensive third, much less up the pitch in the press. Not right. I'm talking in our defensive third. Nobody wanted to step up. Nobody wanted to put pressure. Nobody wanted to put a shoulder on a guy and get it and prevent them or cause them to make a mistake.
Dinamo Zagreb's second and what was it, the first and the third goal? Where were the defenders at? I was like, somebody just foul him, something, do something. Don't let him run through the team and just, you know, curls one in the top corner. But that third goal was inexcusable. It was disgusting. Ran by like 4 players and just put his laces through it. It was just disgusting. I mean, I
mean, David is right though. I mean, he says right here, he says that, you know, all the players that have been, you know, causing all the issues out of the back are the same people that caused us issues out of the back in the, you know, 1920 season and the 18-19 season, right? Yeah, I think from, you know, November to November in Pacha's last year, that if that would have been our full season, we would have been relegated.
Yeah. Been awful, man.
We would have been relegated, right? If you take the results, points from November of 18-19 to the November of 19-20, we would have been relegated.
We pose no threat, especially on Davis's side. We don't pose a threat to nobody. We don't. Yeah, Ben Davis should have been sold 3 seasons ago. You're right. I mean, we pose no threat down the left side. We don't pose a threat down the right side. We have no creativity and let's be honest, if Ndombele isn't, you know, charging at a defender, you know, spinning somebody off the ball, what is our pattern of play? Be honest. When you watch that, what are we trying to accomplish? Like when you watch Man City, for example, you know that they're like, okay, they're gonna have basically their wing backs basically feet on the touchline. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna spread you out. They're just gonna spread you sideline to sideline and work the middle and then get it down the sides, cross it in. That's why they always get a majority of those plays are tap ins. You know what I'm saying? Liverpool's, play they press, recover the ball fast, push forward, use Firmino to get it to Salah and Mane, and if not, they get it over the top. Okay. You got even Arsenal, Arsenal was picking us apart down that left side the entire game, and it was simple. It was just, okay, well, Gareth's not going to track back, so let's just pick on Doherty, and we're going to overlap with Tierney, you know what I'm saying, and and Smith Rowe, and kill him. You see the pattern of play. What is our pattern of play? What are we when we have the ball? What are we trying to accomplish? Because a lot of the times I see the ball stop, right? And then they're kind of looking around like, okay, what is the pattern of play? You know what I'm saying? I don't see anybody on the wings. I don't see anybody, if somebody makes a run, it's kind of like, oh, are they making a run, but the ball's not coming? What's the pattern of play? And the only thing I see is anything happens is only when Kane drops back, comes into the midfield. That's the only time anything happens, is when Kane comes into the midfield. That just seems to be the only thing. It's like, well, Kane, it's like we're playing basketball. Let's talk about it's like basketball when you say, okay, he's the best player. So what do we do, coach? Okay, when you cross the half to the best, give it to the best player. Yeah, and everybody just kind of whatever, that's what it seems like. Like, we'll give him the ball.
It's pretty sad. The worst about it is that, how do you have I just don't understand how people say we're necessarily setting up to be a defensive team, even this season, right? If you look in Poch's last 2 seasons, we averaged around 62 to 67 goals a season.
Mm-hmm.
We're at 47 right now with 10 games left to play. I'm talking about just inside the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
We're averaging right now 1.5 goals a game, which it puts us exactly on par with 18, 19, and 17, 18, as far as the amount of attacking returns the team's getting. And I just don't see how I don't get how people can scream out there at Jose Mourinho. What coach, like the first half, right? Yeah, understand. They sit back, right? You don't need to go out there. Don't make mistakes. I'm sure that was Jose's pregame speech was, don't make mistakes, don't make mistakes, don't make mistakes. And when you get into a player's head of where he's thinking about not making a mistake, he tends to be less aggressive, right? If he's not confident in himself, if he's thinking about don't mess up, you tend to be more reserved, right? I see that in my own kid when he goes and plays, right? If he's playing against a team that he knows, or if it's a big game, like if it's the final of a tournament, he'll set himself back because he doesn't want to be the guy who gives away the goal that costs them the game, right? That's the kind of mentality. But that's a 13-year-old's mentality. That's not elite player's mentality. But the difference is that I don't see them. I just don't understand why they're not putting pressure on the ball. That is like 101, right? 101 defending in your defensive third. I don't care if you're a defender, a midfielder, right? Unless you're the last man, or if you're the last man, then you jockey. You got to give him some space because you don't want to give him, you don't want to let him in behind you. But if you have people behind you, why are you not? If you're Ndombele, if you're Sissoko, if you're Harry Winks, if you watch Harry Winks when he defends, he just runs along the side of players, and I don't get it.
Does Kane look gassed to you?
Yeah, he does. I think he looks. I don't think he's 100% fit. I don't think he was fit against Arsenal.
I don't think so either.
And I think that one of the key things is that if you looked at, if you want to give Arsenal credit for anything, it was that they were the first one to lose balls, and they were the first one to second balls, first one to first balls. They were closing people down. Right, as soon as one of our players touched the ball in their defensive third, there was 1 or 2 guys putting pressure on them, and we don't do that. We walk alongside of them. We let them.
Kane looked gassed. Son's injury, I do believe, happened because of fatigue. It's obvious that Jose doesn't trust the squad players. Even Vinicius, which for the life of me, I can't understand, because the kid's performed when he's played. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, he's pretty much performed when he's played. I think there's so much. I this, you know, I don't know. I like every Tottenham podcast that I've watched. I think as fans, we've all sat there and we've all looked at it and we've all shook our heads like, we don't know. We don't know. Nobody can tell us what our team is. What do we do? You know, are we a defensive team? Are we an offensive team? What do we do? And there's no real. And I think the consensus is like, okay, well, I guess if we play this defensive ball, as long as we win, I guess that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because I guess it's a means to an end, but we're not winning. And
I think it's Jose though, and that's the thing, is like, I don't think, and I didn't get to the end of my thought earlier, I kind of lost my train of thought, but I don't think that what coach out there, when you're 2-0 down, is going to say, okay, guys, let's set up shop and park the bus. No one. You have to be absolutely mad. You'd have to be a literal lunatic who needs to be committed, right? Like, there's no one who is going to do that. And so for people to come out and blame Jose, even at 1-0, right? Once they split that first goal, we got to get one. Got to get one. We got to get one. We got to get one. And yeah, I mean,
we all saw the first goal coming, though. It was coming. It was coming. I watched this game and I was like, this goal is coming.
Jesus, no one was closing down.
Yeah, this goal was coming. And then it's like the Arsenal game. You knew the goal was coming.
Yeah.
Lamela had the tremendous Rabona, but you knew the goal was coming from Arsenal. You knew it. You just was like, it's a matter of time. It just this disgusting mindset of, okay, we get a goal ahead, and you're just like, all right. Wolf, you could literally go down the list. The Palace game, you knew the goal was coming. You knew the equalizer was coming. You saw it. You're like, oh my God, they're gonna fucking score. The Wolves game, it's coming. Okay, we got lucky against Fulham twice. Okay, should have lost both times against Fulham. Okay, you just see you see it coming. You're like, nah, we hanging on for dear life. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, because Jose threw the kitchen sink at this game today, right? I mean, he put on every sub he possibly could, right? I mean,
it's getting us, and we almost
all over,
and we didn't deserve it. But just like the game against Arsenal, we almost pulled the result out our freaking ass. We didn't fucking deserve anything out of that Arsenal game, and we did, and we almost pulled it out our ass. They hit the post, you know what I'm saying? And they almost pulled this freaking tie out of their ass, you know. Kane had a freaking sitter and he kicks it straight down the middle of the freaking goal. The whole right side's open. You know what I'm saying? So
no, I'm hearing you, man. And the fan base frustrates me a lot too. It really does. It really frustrates me a lot of the time, because there's so many people out there who just, and I guess this is I guess maybe it's just 2021, but there's a lot of people that throw out baseless claims all the time that they like the tactics today. It's all because of the what tactic? Which one? Right? Nate, to explain the tactic that you feel was the bad tactic that lost us the game. Right? People just throw out blanket statements, hoping that one will stick, and they just want to rage on about senseless stuff. Well, that's not me. Like for me, I'm famous for not liking Lamela. I have reasons I don't like Lamela. It's not because he's, just Lamela.
He holds the ball too long. He holds the ball too long. He doesn't score enough. You know what I'm saying? For him, when you think about how long he's been at the club, you're like, really? Shocking, right? And you're like, what has he done? And you're like, and he'll literally go down for 2 Ramonas. He'll be in Spurs folklore for having 2 Ramonas and getting stuff in the North London derby. That's it. You know what I'm saying? What is he? And you're shocked that he's still there. And you're like, well, what was Lamela done? He's been injured the entire time. You know what I'm saying? He's always injured, and he's had 2 Ramonas. That's it.
But he works.
He's still there.
He's a hard worker.
He's a hard worker that holds on to the ball too long. Okay, when the obvious pass is there and doesn't have a right foot.
So he's had in his whole career, he's had 40-something goals. 3 with his right foot. 3. My son's right-footed player. He's 13 years old. Plays at a competitive level. It's relative, right? And he scored 3 goals with his left foot already, and there's still half the season left, right? So how can someone who's supposed to be a professional player have such a poor, weak foot that he's forced to do Rabona to score from the left side of the pitch?
Yeah, because shocking as it sounds, he's better at shooting the Rabona than he is with his right foot. Shocking.
Yeah, no, because you couldn't. And like even the Harry Kane assist off the post, he took that with the outside of his left foot out of stride, right? His left foot was already extended and he had to flick the ball up off the side of his foot because he has no right foot. Whereas any other player playing at this level would have shot with his right foot and scored that goal. And picks it up. Yeah. And then you got the Rabona, right? And the play right before the Rabona, he gave the ball away with his left foot when he was out of position again. And it ended up getting lucky that Reguilon ended up kind of taking it back and passing it right back to him. So
this team is, like I said, I mean, all the hope was there at the beginning of the season. It was there. It was all there at the beginning of the season. I don't know what's happened since from the time we were at the top when we lost to Liverpool. The wheels have completely fallen off the wagon, just completely fallen off, and we've been on a bad run. We can't beat anybody this in the top 10. We can't, just simply cannot.
That makes me worried for Sunday then.
Yeah, it makes me worried about Villa. You know, we have Villa, who by the way, of course, Jack Grealish is back. Okay, they have a dangerous team. They're a very good side. You know,
looks real good.
You would look at the last 10 games, and under normal circumstances, you could say, okay, these look winnable. But you're nervous, and that now we're banking on a Chelsea team that doesn't give up goals to fall out of form. They may not be playing, they may not be scoring, but they're not giving up any goals because that's who we're chasing is Chelsea. Okay, let's not talk about West Ham, who's playing out of their skin. You know what I'm saying? And now it just seems like Leicester had a blip. You know, a blip. Didn't they just score 5 last against Sheffield United? They put 5 past Sheffield United. So now you're asking Leicester or Chelsea, West Ham, Everton. This is all who we're gonna chase down with a game in hand. You know what I'm saying? So you're asking all these teams to fall out a favor. I feel like the season's done. Okay. And the only hope, and to be honest with you, the only hope at European football next year, crazy as it may sound, because I do not see us finishing in the top 6, is to win the Carabao Cup, because the Carabao Cup gets you into the Europa League. That's it. Which is impossible. And watch the crazy shit. And watch the crazy shit. Jose will fuck around and win that game against Manchester City.
Oh, I know. I hope he does. I mean, at least that'll make me feel like this season wasn't a complete waste. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous and that's why you can't. If it was the manager, you would see a continual downward trend until the players just came out publicly and said we're done. Right? I mean, that is how Jose's career always ends. Is he's got 1 or 2 players that'll come out in public and say, you know, get in a public fight with him over something, or I mean, that's what happened with him and Pogba at United, right? That doesn't happen. It's been a roller coaster, and I think what it is you have the people at the club who respect Jose Mourinho, Kane, Son, maybe Lloris, Reguilon, Højbjerg, fighting a battle against the people who, under that Championship League season, because there were so many injuries, and we got rid of people like Dembele, when Yama was hurt, all of these other things, and got more playing time than they normally did, and start to felt like they were due playing time. was owed to them. And so you have the players who have always been good kind of battling with the players who are really, second tier players in the team. If you look back from 18, 19 and back, who are, pitching a fit. And right now we're having to rely on them, especially during that play when we lost 5. I don't think people give Reguilon enough credit. Like that run where we lost 5 out of 6, I don't think we would have lost half of those games if we would have had Reguilon on the side.
Reguilon's an amazing left back. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And my fear is that Real Madrid are going to come through and be like, yeah, you know what? We're going to go ahead and exercise that buyback clause. You know what I'm saying? He's a tremendous talent. You can see it. He's a tremendous talent. We're a completely different team when he's in the game. When Mourinho subbed him in, I was like, okay, he had to bring Reguilon in, and we looked a threat. So
yeah, the pace change. I think that was just big. If Jose is at fault for today, David, if you're still there, if Jose was at fault today for anything,
should have started
Davies instead of Reguilon.
Yeah, because at least he gives us that threat. He gives us a threat, a proper threat. It just we didn't. We and I think against lesser teams like Dinamo Zagreb, I think on the wings your wing backs or somebody bombing that you need pace. You need pace, and I think Reguilon would have made the difference. I think if he had started, this was just I don't know, man. It was one of those like Jose talked all week about, don't take this game lightly. Don't take this game lightly. But then I feel like you looked like you played a strong side. But then if we're being honest and we look at the entire season, we know that, like, come on, like, Ben Davis, it's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we got Aurier, but then it's like you're chopping and changing. Like Arsenal game, he put Doherty in he put Doherty in and had Reguilon in. And then this game, he gives us Aurier, but then he gives, he has Davis on the left. It just, and the truth of the matter is that Winston Sissoko thing just doesn't work anymore. It's done. It's dead. It's dead food. It's done. Nobody, they scare nobody. My son going crazy right now.
Having fun. That's what it means. Tell us about yourself, man. I haven't seen you on many streams before. So first sports club, what part of the country you from?
Okay, so I'm actually currently in Florida, South Florida.
Okay.
Big Spurs fan. I'm a retired Navy chief. So I retired 6 years ago from the Navy after 23 years of service. Big football fan. Down here in South Florida. Love Spurs all my life. Family's a whole Spurs fan. So I haven't talked to anybody in England this evening because I know that they were all distraught and disgusted. So I've kind of, and unfortunately after the game, I had to go to class. Right after class, so everybody was just kind of like, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't want to talk." I'm sitting in class, just kind of like, "I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk."
I was in Naples not too long ago. My son had a tournament down there.
Yeah. So, and hopefully one of my boys, especially this little 7-month-old that's over here making all the noise, he wants to kick a ball. So I'm glad. I'm absolutely thrilled that you have this. You got this platform. I mean, I see a lot of the guys, because I noticed that a lot of the guys that call into Tottenham TV, or We Are Tottenham TV, are from the States.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
All from the States.
I was actually telling David that when we were kind of talking about, he kind of pushed me over the edge. I was kind of thinking about doing the channel. I go on a bunch of their streams, do that stuff, but I really enjoy doing that too. But the problem is that a lot of them I can't do from, like, I have all of this for my work.
Mm-hmm.
I just change a couple pieces and it changes, the theme of whatever I'm doing. But I can never really do anything from here because of the time of the day that it is, right? And so I figured you know, there's nothing. And then when I get home after either you go to his training, and when I get back from training, it's like I live in Eastern, North Carolina, so same time zone as you. It's like 8:00 in the evening. There's nothing on, right? There's nothing to participate in. So I said, you know what? I do that. So I kind of shot at Dave, and he's like, man, just give it a shot. Just go for it.
Right.
Just throw it out there. See what people do. So yeah, man. And I appreciate you coming on for our very first stream. I wish it was under better circumstances other than a 3-0 loss to
Dinamo Zagreb.
Dinamo. All right. They can't even spell dynamo right. I mean, come on.
I'd love to be back, man. But definitely I'm following you, and I'll be in touch, man. Keep it up, man. I appreciate you. Maybe we can talk under some better circumstances. Hopefully at the end of the season we have some good news, or it's literally going to be well, what are they going to do? Because
I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be a hell of a ride. But thanks for having me. You guys,
yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Anytime. You're always welcome.
Spurs for life, yo.
Yeah.
Come on, you Spurs.
Spurs till we die.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Come on, you Spurs.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Well, I think it's been a pretty great show. We've got, David and Unis in the chat there, ranting at each other. That's what this channel's about. What's going on, Danny? How you doing tonight, brother? And yeah, man. I mean, this is pretty cool. For the first night, I was completely and 100% ready to be, ranting to myself. To seeing a little eyeball in the corner of my screen with a big old fat 0. But thanks up to the Harris Army, to We Are Tottenham TV, to Matty Hayes, to Simon over the Premier Hotspur TV, to Bob Spurs TV. Yeah, I mean, those are pretty much the channels to Charlie THFC, all those guys that I go and support and watch their content. They let me come on their platforms and shout myself out. And yeah, hopefully this continues to go smooth. Good to see a lot of people from over the pond. I hope Wayne Winter, I hope you get better, my man. And take it easy for you. And Eunice, my apologies. That's how we do it. But thank you, Eunice, for coming on. I appreciate it. I really do. I really, really do. Great start today, lad. The comp set is genius. And for the first night, I think it was a success. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Hopefully, as this grows, what the plan is that every time that we do this chat, I'm going to be throwing the link here in the chat. And we're streaming. Just remember, we're streaming on Twitch right now. We're streaming on Periscope right now. We are streaming on YouTube right now. And we are streaming on Facebook right now. So if you're watching this and YouTube is not something that you like to do, you like to watch it on Twitch, you can go over there and follow us on Twitch. All of them are Will Stewart, THFC Rants. And yeah, man, we got AK Gaming here. He said he's going to call, I will call it, this will be the best Spurs show in the U.S. Yeah, we plan to have a bunch of people on. Hopefully Marcelo will be able to come on next week. He's another U.S. guy. USA. When is your next stream? My next stream today is Thursday, right? Saturday. Either probably Saturday. I'm gonna give myself a break tomorrow. But yeah, Saturday night, probably maybe a little bit earlier. So I think maybe 9:30 Eastern time. It's probably what I'll schedule for, and it'll be kind of like an Aston Villa preview type deal. So kind of be on the lookout for that. But yeah, man, this one we want it to be a little bit lax as we get a little more comfortable and all that stuff. We've got some sound effects, and let's see, here we go. We'll roll through some sound effects and do all kinds of stuff, man. We can just do all kinds of fun stuff.
Got him! Got him.
Yeah, I just want it to be here, just to be a joke where there's banter. You know, maybe if we can even get Eunice and David to come on here and rant at each other, right? Like those kind of dumpster fire moments, right? That type of a thing. We're just having fun. I'm a pretty calm guy. I tend not to get super ticked off or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, we're yeah, Wayne, I hope you do, man. That's tough. My dad, stepmom, both had it. And grandfather passed away over in England because of it when this thing very first started, but he was fairly old, so it was about his time. But he was a Spurs supporter too. And JJ, thanks a lot, man, for the compliments. Thank everybody for the compliments and the support. And yeah, I'm sorry about that. Big love from Canada. Yeah, anything in North America, we have the same time zones here. So yeah, South America too. If you got any friends, if you guys would do me a big favor, share this out, right? Like when the stream ends, you'll be able to share it out, on your Twitter feeds, on your, wherever you guys have groups, especially if you have like your own Spurs supporters group where you're able to, share this video, let people know, especially if we're here in North America. I want as many of the UK guys, and David, dude, you're an absolute legend. An absolute legend. Love you like a brother for coming on here. It's got to be like 5 o'clock in the morning for you, dude. What are you doing awake, man? Why are you still awake, brother? And Wayne as well. And Wayne Bonner was on earlier. I mean, a lot of guys from the UK come over here to watch that, and I appreciate you guys. I love you for it. Yeah, make sure help us out. Help us out. The more people that we can get onto it, the more fun it's going to be for everybody. So yeah, share this thing out there. Subscribe, hit that bell button. Like I said, we're also streaming live right now, currently on Twitch, on Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. All at Will. You can see it down there at the bottom, right? So Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Will Stewart, THFC Rants, also streaming on Twitch. And the way Twitch does it is it's all one word. Follow us out there. And yeah, I'm going to hit some more comments. So we're going to do comment time now before I run off the stream. So if anybody has any comments that they haven't gotten onto yet, thank you. We look forward to it. You are my man. Always up, barely sleep. Same for me, dude. I'm up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning every day too. Usually wake up around 12, 11, maybe 10, just depending on what time. But yeah. Great stream. Thank you very much, Danny. Thanks for joining. Thanks for subscribing. I was shocked, man. First day that I announced it, it was already up to like 40 subscribers. And at one point we had, I think, 16 people live on the stream. So you guys are amazing. I really appreciate the support. I'm here to do this for you guys, especially for us North American folks, where we can have something that's around our time zone, where we can be at home and comfortable. We're not in the car, we're not, at work or doing whatever. And I'll definitely continue to do that because I'm a fiend, man. Like I said, I watch all the, Chris and David and Matt and Sim and Ben and Charlie and Lily White Lane and Simon and Bob. I watch all of those channels, support a lot of those channels. And yeah, it's been completely a shock that everybody's supportive as you are. I appreciate it. I owe it all to this guy right here, the Irish Hotspur, because if he didn't let me come on his channel and rant about Lamella as much as he did, then yeah, I wouldn't have you guys. You guys wouldn't even know who I am. I'd just be some lone dude ranting at himself because his team is playing piss poor. Yeah, they're not helping out with anybody's mentality, to be honest with you. But tell you what, guys, thank you for coming on tonight. For me, it's about 12 o'clock at night. It's not early for me. I could go for a whole long other time, but I could go on forever. But we're sitting at about 1 hour and 37 minutes into the stream. I'm going to make one more last call to anybody in the chat. If you have any questions you want me to hit up before we go. Other than that, I'm going to roll the outro and go. So we're going to give this to about 1 hour and 45 minutes, and then we're going to do it. Yep, shame that our club last down. I'm going to tell you what, man, it is a big shame. It's a huge shame. Yep, we're all Spurs till we die here. I'm going to tell you what right now. I've been a Spurs fan since 2014. So, I mean, hardcore fan since 2014. Occasional fan before that. So, like, maybe this is a good part of the last part of the stream is nobody really knows a lot about my story. So I was in the United States Air Force, joined the Air Force at about 20. In 2003, I went over to Korea and, was there, stayed there for 2 years, met a lady, got married, came back to the States, went back to Korea. And so it was right around the 2002 World Cup in Korea that I really started to kind of get like an interest in football itself. 2006 was probably the biggest one. I got up at that time, even though I was American, because where I kind of fell in love with the game was in Korea. I had, my Spurs scarf, or I had my Korea scarf, and Tae Hamin Gu, right? Like that was my deal that got me into the game. And then, I went to Korea to scout Sun out. But yeah, so that's really kind of fell in love with the game. And then my stepdad is British. He was born in Tottenham, and he's been a Spurs fan his whole life. So when I kind of got into following football and stuff like that, I started talking to him about it, asking him some questions. He's like, if you support anybody other than Spurs, then I'm going to kill it. I'll disown you. Right. So, or I won't let you come visit your mom. Right. So, I started kind of looking at Spurs then around 2000, 2004, 5-ish. But because I was in Korea, the games are on there at like 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's really hard to watch them. And so I would catch one here and there. And then, but around 2014, whenever we signed Sun, I mean, then the connection really became real. And so then I started watching more and more matches, came back to the States in around 2015. My son started playing in around 2017. And then it got real bad because now I'm a dad of a kid playing travel soccer in the U.S., so I have to know everything. I'd watch video after video after video on tactics and Brazil Scout is like one of my favorite channels. I just watch highlight reels of players all day. Me and my son, and so it's just kind of been that. And then you could not only do I watch a lot of Spurs channels for over there in the Isles, but also as many I can hear in the US, and there just weren't any, and there weren't a whole lot that were doing stuff at this time of day, right? And so, or if they were doing it, it wasn't regular, once a week, once a month, there wasn't, an every other day or a frequent channel. And so, I just think that, us for fans here in the US, and then I saw a lot of the heat. Who really is to blame? If you guys out there want to blame anyone for me go ahead and doing this, was all of those people out there that like to slag us Yankees off and call us Yanks and tell us to go back to our soccer and do all that stuff. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, all of you today, after today, would be licking your lips to sign Alphonso Davies or Gio Reyna or Weston McKennie or Tyler Adams over the players we got now. And they all played soccer. So anyway, you guys stay safe. You guys stay well. I'm going to roll this intro. And remember, Tottenham till we die. Come on, you Spurs.